Hey mathematicians, our learning target for today says, I can describe how to divide things by equal shares. Last week we started talking about how we can divide things fairly, and we also use the word fair shares or equal shares. And then in some of the videos that I've shown you, they've used a big mathematical word called fractions. So people can also talk about that when we're talking about sharing things equally. Today, I have a couple word problems that I want to do with you, and I want to talk to you about how we can do this in a very efficient way. That means how can we do this in a way that doesn't waste a lot of our time and helps us to get our work done quickly and done well as well. All right, so it says Mrs. Ferris wants to share 25 donuts with Wilson, Rosalind, Aradia, and River. How many donuts will each person get? It's a lot of donuts. Must have been really hungry that day. So what we talked about the other day is that we can start by going like this. 1, 2, 3, and we can count all the way to 25. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're on 10, but we have to go all the way to 25. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is kind of taking me a while. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Whew! I made it all the way to 25, but it was definitely difficult. I had to count them all out for a long time. And you can see that they are divided equally, they are shared equally, and each person is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 donuts. Now, if we wanted to try this in a way that might be a little bit more efficient with our time, that's a big word for it would save us time, and it would help us to think about this in a way where we don't have to count every single donut out to every single person, we could start thinking about the number 25. So we could start thinking about the number 25. And we could start skip counting. So we could count by 5s, we could count by 10s, we could count by 2s. We'd have to think about what would make the most sense for the number 25. Well, if I count by 5s, and I know everybody in our class knows how to count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 is a number that we see when we count by 5s. So one way you could do this is you could count out 5 per person, knowing that when you skip count, you're going to get the same number over here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 5 donuts, 10 donuts, 15 donuts, 20 donuts, and 25 donuts all together. Knowing that all together we have 25, but each person gets 5. And that can help us to think about how we can solve that problem a little bit quicker. Now, if that's kind of confusing for you, and as I'm explaining it to you, it's kind of confusing for you, then you go ahead and just count out 1 donut per person. It's okay if it takes you a little bit of time since this is brand new to us. I was just trying to think of another strategy that we could use to help us solve this equal sharing problem. We're going to do another one now. It says, Michael wants to share 10 M&Ms with Warren. How many will each kid get so that the M&Ms are shared equally? I was thinking of this again. If we wanted to use our strategy counting by fives, we could actually do that. We could give Michael 5, and then we could give Warren 5, and then each kid would have 5 to make 10 altogether. 5, 10. There's also another way we can do it. We could count by twos. So I'm going to get a group of 2 right here. And if Michael can have 2 and Warren can have 2, we have 2, 4, 6. Oopsies. We're going to count by twos. It's kind of hard to follow me. 2, 4, 6, 8. So we have 8 altogether, and then we need 1 more for Michael, which makes 9, and 1 more for Warren, that makes 10. So each student had 5 M&Ms to share, which together, if you add them together, 5 plus 5, it equals 10. So that's another strategy you can think about. And the last one says, Mrs. Ferris wants to share her cookies with Claire and Carter. She has 16 cookies. How many cookies will each person get? I should say, will each person get? All right. So let's go ahead and try that strategy that we were doing earlier with 5. So if Mrs. Ferris gets 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, since I know I have a number that's not one that I can count by 5, but I know that might help make this problem a little bit shorter for me. And in fact, my Oreos are just too big. I'm going to redo this just a little bit so that my Oreos are a little smaller for you. So if we think about it like this, I'm going to get 5, Claire's going to get 5, and Carter's going to get 5. And that's going to help us because if we count by 5s, we can count 5, 10, 15. So we know we now have 15 because 5 cookies plus another 5 cookies plus another 5 cookies is 15. But it says that I have 16. So we need one, we have like one leftover cookie right here that we need to figure out what we should do with it. Is it fair if I just take it since I'm the teacher? And I worked pretty hard, I have to tell you. So is it fair if I just get it? Well, what about Claire? Claire works hard. Maybe Claire should get it because I know she works really hard. But then what about Carter? Maybe Carter should get it. Carter works really hard too. So it's kind of like tough to try to figure this out. The most fair thing to do, I mean, it would be kind for us just to give it to Claire or to Carter or to me. It would be like, oh, that's a kind thing to do. I already have 5. One of you guys can have it. But we're not talking about just being kind. We're talking about equally sharing. So we're going to have to break the cookie into 3 parts. Do you see how I did that? 3 equal parts. Carter's going to get this part. Claire's going to get this part. And Mrs. Ferris will get this little part. So we each get 5 cookies and then 1 part of this little 3, 1/3 of the last cookie. Now, this is kind of something that we don't need to know right away. We're only in kindergarten, so I just wanted to kind of introduce you to that. You don't need to know that this year. So if that's a little bit confusing to you, don't worry about it. You can always practice counting the cookies out one by one, just like we've been doing in small group today. So my challenge for you today is maybe you can find some things around your house that you can share. Maybe you can gather like 10 to 20 different items or cubes or blocks or crackers, and you could share them with someone in your family, or you could share them with a stuffed animal. Just an extra fun little challenge for you today. Have fun, mathematicians.